and I know a lot of guys that aren't in clubs that are 100% criminal. Putting a stereotype on it isn't the way to do it. The biggest problem you run into is the guys that aren't criminals that think they are because they want to wear that patch. This is Jeremy, and I'm chatting with Staxx.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Jeremy.
And that's when we were in the middle of a fucking brawl, and he lost his cut during the brawl. Other than that, no, because you don't lose your cut. You know, I've heard of guys losing their cut and getting it taken away from them or whatever, but yeah, I've only seen it happen one time. It was just, we were in a fight and we were outnumbered, and he got his ass kicked. What happened?
Is that acceptable if they get their ass kicked?
Not really. He was jammed up over the fucking situation for a minute. We got his cut back, and he had to work and get his and earn it back to wear it. But yeah, it was a situation.
So when a rival club takes your cut,
yeah,
they don't keep it. They don't.
Well, they try to keep it. You know, and they tried to keep his, and at that point they pretty much figured out. You know, we got it back for him right there at the bar where the fight happened. And it was pretty much going to be, you're either going to give it back or we're going to go ahead and just start fucking going at it again.
Back in the day, they used to hang them upside down on the walls. And
trophies. Yeah. Oh, we've taken many cuts. You know, just
walk me through a situation where you guys took a cut.
We've had a couple of guys, and you know, some people, you know, they show up, and, you know, basically like they're badasses, thinking they're somebody, and they're not necessarily, you know, any outlaw clubs, but they're want to consider themselves an outlaw club. And, you know, basically you walk in, hey, tell you, take that shit off. You guys aren't, you know, you're wearing Texas rocker. You're not fucking wearing that shit. Take it off. Nah, fuck that. Ain't nobody gonna do that. And then you just fucking start throwing rounds and just take it off of them. Take that back and hang it at the clubhouse. You know, because yeah, you're not wearing a Texas rocker. It's not gonna happen. And, you know, so situations like that's what you kind of run into. But it ends up being stupid asses that don't know what they're doing. They just saw that it's cool to have this and wear it. And it's not.
Sons of Anarchy cut, right?
Exactly, that type of bullshit. Yeah, that's the truth. That's honestly the life we live now. You know, and if you look at it, yeah, there's less and less actual true bikers anymore. You know, this young generation, they're not going to come up and do any of that. They're not going to be, you know, as the old guys start dwindling away and passing away and not around anymore, that you're going to lose that history. So now you have the guys that are half-assed anyhow, teaching new guys that are their whole life's been half-assed. So it's gonna end up either dissolving itself, or they're gonna fuck around, and the feds are gonna end up with a RICO case on every one of them, because these guys aren't gonna do 20 fucking years for the club. That shit ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, what do you think's in store for the future of these motorcycle clubs? Do you think they can get along? Do you think that it's gonna die out? They're gonna put a ban on the patches?
I don't know if they're actually gonna get a ban on the patches, but I definitely see in the future there's probably gonna be some cases where they're gonna either pick up a majority of the clubs and put them on a RICO, because, you know, at the end of the day, people don't realize that a conspiracy case only takes the fact that you knew about it. You didn't have to be there. You didn't have to be involved. You just had to know that it happened, and you're in the case. You know, and it goes with something else with a felony. Well, now it becomes a RICO. Well, holy shit! If we're in a club together, no matter if you're in another city, chances are you know what's going on. It's just a matter of somebody opening their mouth and saying, he knew, this one knew, that one knew, and all of a sudden you got 25, 30 guys that are fucking jammed up. Then that turns into 100 guys that are jammed up. And I see that throughout it's going to go. It'll dissolve out or get, you know, less members because of that reason, because of the new generation.
Because a lot of people, they are like, they're motorcycle gangs, they're criminals, but they're not. Everyone that's riding in a club is not a criminal.
No, right? Not at all. I know many of members that aren't criminals at all, or even want to be gangsters. You know, they just enjoy riding motorcycles and enjoy life. You know, and I know a lot of guys that aren't in clubs that are 100% criminal. You know, so putting a stereotype on it isn't the way to do it. The biggest problem you run into is the guys that aren't criminals that think they are because they want to wear that patch. You know, and okay, just because you think you're a gangster or think you're a tough guy doesn't make you one.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, you know, we can even switch it up a little bit. Look at the AB. They're not a motorcycle club. Look how they've been portrayed lately. You know, and I know a bunch of those guys. Good cats. You know, but at the end of the day, how many of them aren't good cats? Or how many of them fucking think they stand for this and they don't? You know, and I've seen that all over the place. Just all of a sudden, these guys all want to pop up with, they want to start putting these tattoos on them. And I'm going, dude, do you know what that even means? That shit ain't yours. You have to earn that. You know, you just can't pop up and have that.
No,
you're gonna show up.
You show up in a different place, so you're gonna have a big problem.
Yeah, you're gonna show up somewhere and somebody else gonna know what that is and know you didn't earn it. Yeah, you're gonna have a situation. But they don't. They see it on TV. They see it. Oh man, this is what I'm gonna be. Okay, it doesn't work that way. But that's the mentality they have now. You know, I've seen a bunch of these youngsters. You know, I've been up in Mississippi, up in Louisiana, and all of a sudden they got these symbols, and I'm going, okay, well, you guys know what that is? You have to earn that, you know. And I know you haven't been in the cage, and that's the only way you can get what you have on you. So yeah, it's stupid, but that's at the end of the day, it's no different for them than it is for us. You know, just because they don't wear a patch, they still get labeled like we do that they're all criminals, and that's not true. They just have a different belief, but it doesn't make them a criminal.
What about tattoos? When someone's out of the club, have you seen them get their tattoos covered up?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen many guys get covered up. You know, especially when they're out and bad. You know, and if they're out and just out, a lot of guys have to get the out date put on them. You know, and all that, so you know they're out of the club. This is the date they got out of the club. It's really kind of up to the club how they handle it. Most guys
they have a whole back piece.
I've seen guys the whole back piece have to get covered up because they got out and bad. Yeah, either cover it with ink or burn it off. One or the other. One of the two's got to happen.
That's a long process, man.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a process. It's definitely
painful one too, right? They don't care.
Very, extremely painful.
Yeah. So hey, if you're out there and you're thinking about getting a back piece,
well, and our whole thing is, you know, like when I was in the club, our chapter made it so you had to be in at least 2 years to get a tattoo. Other chapters, it was whenever they wanted it. It was a free for all. So you have guys that be in 6 months that are rocking, you know, club tattoos, and they're out of the club. I'm going, why did you get it? You know, for us, it was that you had to be at least 2 years before you get anything. For our chapter itself. Yeah. But yeah, it's funny how you see guys as soon as they get their patch, the next day they're down getting a tattoo. I'm going, come on.
I'd seen that on the internet a little while ago. I saw a guy just get his patch and he has fresh ink. Wow.
Yeah, I've seen it all the time. And I just look at him going, dude, you guys understand that that's not the way it's should be, but it's the mentality. They honestly want that. They have to show everybody who they are instead of just being a man and standing on their own 2 feet. That's the main situation that they run into. And I don't see it getting any better. I see it getting worse over time, but hopefully, you know, some of the guys start getting a grasp on it and start teaching these youngsters coming up of how it should be and how to stand on their own 2 feet. But I don't see it happening. You know, I see some of these kids and see, you know, there's some guys, you know, 21, 22 years old that are just starting to come around the club atmosphere, and they're in awe because they've never seen it before. Well, if you're just coming around, there's no way in hell you should jump into being a 1%er. You need to start out somewhere else and figure out if you want to do this. But they don't. They just jump automatically in, and all of a sudden, because they're their friend or they know somebody, and they start hanging them around and making them an official hang around. Next thing you know, they're prospecting. Before you know it, they got a patch. And I'm going, you've never been in a club. You've never seen this. You know, and half of them, I usually tell them, dude, can you even ride? Do you know how to, can you ride fucking 700 miles today? Because it ain't no joke. You take off on the fucking motorcycle and you're going to ride 700 or 1,000 miles in one day. Yeah, you better be able to ride. because you are going to be beat up before you get there and tired.
Especially if you're a prospect, you got to
Yeah,
run
they no
around, do
bullshit.
all this stuff.
Exactly. And that's why I try to tell the guys, I'm going, you guys think because we ride around here and go to this bar, or we're going to go over here and it's 15 minutes away. It's a huge difference from riding fucking 14 fucking hours straight.
That's what another question I have for you is, what about accidents? When you guys were out on the road, have you seen a lot of accidents? And
Seen a shitload of accidents.
Can you walk me through a couple?
We've seen a lot of them. Accidents that I've seen is sometimes not at fault of the bike. You got to understand there's people around that don't pay attention. And I've had guys that going down the highway and it's next city, and all of a sudden they have the stoplight, but the guy coming the other way doesn't. And we had a good member of ours that got killed one night going home, and basically the girl just ran the red light. She wasn't drunk or anything. She just wasn't paying attention.